Hopefully it doesn't sink, but if it does, you'll get to see it. That's not gonna happen though. I'm just telling you right now, it's not gonna happen. Maybe. Today I want to try and get the wiring all ran to where the hub is going to be for our fuses and for our switches, and at least get that all squared away. And once I get the wiring all ran, then I can worry about connecting all my wires. I was able to get this going here in a little bit. I'll show you. I'll get the battery turned on, and then I can show you the switches work. I have this switch is wired to we'll go ahead and set you up on a time lapse somewhere that's not going to get bumped around while I'm screwing around on the boat, and you can watch along. Okay, we're gonna see if this actually powers on. I didn't put the blade on for the trolling motor yet. We're going to hit the breaker and see what happens. Okay, the breaker has been hit. Battery meter works. Power button's on. I already connected the cable for the foot feed. Maybe I shouldn't try and run the foot feed with the without the pedal on. So let's go ahead and put the pedal on. Alright, this says drive pin we reuse, prop washer we reuse, the shipping spacer we discard that, the red spacer we discard both of these things, and we keep these things. Pin goes in there, throw this in. Throw that washer in. I'm gonna do a little more research on how tight you're supposed to make this, because I don't really know. I mean, I got it, it's level there, but I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it. Anyway. It works, and that's the most important thing. Yay! Yeah, that probably needs to be tightened up a little more. That's better. So I didn't totally screw it up. Super happy about that. It works. Now I do need to try and get this in hooked up. Got to run it to power so I can get that going, which I'll just run a wire. Probably mount it somewhere up in the front by the light, or maybe right here, I don't know. Run it somewhere up there so we can have our spot lock and everything. Glad that it works, and I can get back to wiring the rest of the boat. Biggest things we got here, I got my horn wire right there is run over to the box. Once I get that done, trolling motor is 90% wired up. The things I want to try and get wired up still is a bilge pump, which I need to also get a mount to hold the hose to be able to bilge out water if I need to. For this trip, that's probably all I'm going to do is I'll do navigation lights, the horn, and if I get time and get the drive to do it, I'll do stow light, 1 or 2 stow lights in the compartments, but right now I just want to try and get the main stuff done up so I don't have to worry about. The electric choke should be here tomorrow for the boat motor. Glad the trolling motor is working because that was a big worry for me, having to chop that thing down. But it's wired up. I just have to secure the breaker now and do a little cable management on my wiring. For right now, I'll be done within the compartment right there. The saga is continued. I went ahead and wired up my bilge pump and I secured it here. Wired up this, got it wired up, and it goes through. Got it wired clear to my panel, starting to get that wired up. I know this is really confusing to see, but so we have that's my float switch, that's the bilge pump. The 2 wires I have coming out of the float switch, one of the wires goes to a 5-amp fuse and goes to the positive on the battery that's underneath here. That will make sure, so if my boat takes on water when I'm not watching it, that will activate the switch, activate the pump, so I won't lose my boat. And this float switch connects with the brown wire from the bilge pump, and that goes to my switch on my boat. So that switch will work, is connected. I take the negative from the bilge pump and connect it to my Blue Sea systems, and then my switch is connected to my 5-amp fuse. So then I got both. I have a manual switch that I can turn on and off, or I have an automatic switch that will come on and off. If you don't understand it, I'm sorry. We're going to time-lapse me wiring the boat up, and then we're gonna cross our fingers and hope nothing catches on fire. So let's go ahead and set this up. So my screw up, I had the 2 navigation lights hooked together and hooked to this. It goes straight to a fuse. That's not how I need to do it. These 2 wires need to be connected down here, and then up here is where the fuse needs to go to so you can function the on-off. That was my bad, but we'll get it figured out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wire all of my fuses to my switches, and then it'll make it much easier to wire my wires to my switch. So we'll go ahead and do that. so here we are. All right, so I got this plunger assembly. That's the old one that's broken. There's the new one. So we're gonna put that on. Again, it's 5607488, and we'll go ahead and slap this thing on here. You gotta put the piece goes right in here, and then it comes up into the solenoid. It's really hard to see. So this is what I put in right here, and it hooks to this. I thought I broke it, but apparently I didn't. But it's really hard to get in there. I had to turn it sideways, and I thought I heard something snap, and I thought I broke it. So that was a good time. Yeah, it's way smoky in here now. But anyway, we're gonna put the cover back on this, and I'm gonna continue cleaning. And once I get done cleaning, I will give you the overview of how everything's turned out. And it's been great. Haven't had any fallbacks at all. All right, see you back in here in a second. All right, guys, I don't know what I have or haven't filmed. I've literally been in a mad rush to get this stuff done. But I'll show you what I got going, and tell me what you think. I went ahead and mounted an automatic sump, and then I also have it hardwired to a switch right here, so if for some reason turn this on, I can activate my bilge pump manually, or it will go off automatically. I've also installed some rod holders over on each end of the boat. Installed a cup holder, because you always need a cup holder. This is my wiring setup. I have all my stuff wired up here, my lights, nav lights, bilge pump, horn, GPS, fish finder. I've wired everything up here. Got it wired in 14 and 16 gauge. I have my Lowrance Elite 5 Ti mount cables. Have them run over to my Minn Kota Tarova that I've installed. I have my heading sensor is installed, and all my wiring has been managed. I've got all my fishing stuff in there. Ultimately, this has kind of been a really fast-paced build, and I was just trying to get it done. So I apologize that I didn't volt system. I have that wired. If you can see it, I have it wired to a breaker right here, and that is operated individually. I have nothing else hooked up to it other than the trolling motor to the 24-volt system. I also have the slam latches installed. If anybody has any questions on how to do these flush pull latches, I got really good, Tiny Boat Nation has really good video on it. Then Brigade Boats, he also has really good videos on it, and he's who I followed. Just make sure you get your measurements right, because when you drill those holes, you can't go back. And if you can see on here, it kind of goes either. And that one I finally figured out how I'm supposed to do it. So took a little trial and error. Ultimately, I'd like to just restart on this boat, but I don't know, we'll see. This is always stored inside, so it's going to last me a really long time. Other than that, I think that's about it. I'm good to go on vacation. I got to change the oil in my truck and clean the windows. That's not going to happen. This thing right here, what we ended up doing here is we took the existing mount and cut that completely off. This is just a this is what remained of it. We went ahead and put square tubing inside of this square tubing so we can raise it and lower it as needed. Right here where we have it is about where we needed it, so we are going to leave it at that. If we do need to adjust it, we can adjust it, which really worked out for us, so I'm glad that we were able to get that figured out. It took us a little bit, we got it figured out. Other than that, I think we're good to go boating, so I will pack everything up and I will see you down at Branson.